everyone. I've been noticing a huge trend recently about like huge companies making really awful mistakes that just like fuck them over really badly. With the most recent one that comes to my mind is being Twitch. I'm sure you already know about the new policy that just creates like a huge disadvantage for the creators on there. And naturally when a platform creates like such a hassle to use for other people, they're not gonna stick around your website, they're just gonna move to another platform that doesn't limit them as much. And not to mention the backlash that's created from like the new changes that a platform makes, with so many people talking about like how much they hate it or like how it's gonna ruin the platform. And this negative discussion can really damage like the brand image of a site, simply because like how many people like talk about like how much they hate or how bad it is, which would just like get more people to stop using it. This of course has happened before in the past, but I've noticed like this trend is happening more frequently around this time. With the second incident that made me realize this is Elon Musk making new changes to Twitter that affects how people use it. As a way to combat data scrapping on Twitter, there's been a new limit that allows people to only see like a certain amount of tweets per day. The amount of tweets allowed has fluctuated over time because of like how negatively the implementation was taken, with the highest amount you could see being 6,000, and that was only if you were a verified account. Then below that was 600, and that was if you were unverified, and the lowest amount possible was 300, and that was if you were unverified and a new account. This was a very sudden change because it wasn't really an announcement like letting people know and like preparing them, it just came out of the blue. So it was very jarring to scroll through Twitter or go through an account and then just see like a blank section with just simply saying rate limit exceeded. Personally, I legitimately believe the server was down, not just because there wasn't like any indicator showing like how close you were to seeing like your limit, but also because beneath the bold title it just simply said please wait a few moments and try again. So at first you would believe you have to wait like a few minutes instead of like a whole day to see more tweets. Later Elon increased it to 8,000, 800 and 400 depending on the account you had, but the last increase I saw on the limit was 10,000, 1,000 and 500, and that was probably because they found a better way to like manage the situation, but also because people got really angry at this announcement because like how much they were limited by. And to be honest, it is kind of insane seeing a platform actually try to limit their users from like how much they can use their site. I want to mention now that by seeing a tweet that includes everything that's like loaded up, so that includes like going through a timeline or going through someone's account or like seeing replies on a tweet. So it's actually very hard to manage how many tweets you can see because they're all loaded up at once, so you're not guaranteed to like every tweet you see. So you can spend a day going through Twitter and seeing like boring stuff or stuff that pisses you off and not see a single thing you actually like. So in reality, it feels more like a chore going through Twitter because you only get like a certain amount before you have to wait for like the next day to see more. Because after you've reached a limit, apart from just buying like Twitter Blue and just getting like more posts, all you can really do is just wait. Not to mention that like, a lot of people like get their news from Twitter because it's become a very popular site that a lot of like credible organizations have like set up accounts there. So if you rely on a couple of accounts to like keep up to date, it would be like a massive hassle to only see a certain amount before having to go to like somewhere else to find your news. And for a lot of people who use Twitter like personally or as a job, this is just gonna get them to like go to other sites. And for Twitter on a business side, that's the worst possible thing you could actually do. One thing that annoys me is how many people are using this as a reason to get people to stop using social media so much and do other stuff like going outside. But to me that feels so dumb, because if that was the actual reason that this was implemented, it's just treating like adults like kids by only letting them see like a certain amount per day. Reminds me of like how back in the day, some certain like kids channels on TV for like a certain day or a moment, they wouldn't show any programs. Instead they would tell them to like go outside or play with their friends, which is why it's so insane to me seeing this same method being applied on a site for adults. I understand the sentiment like social media can be like mentally harmful for some people. So on one side you could argue like for others it might be inconvenient, but for others it could like give them a break from like all the negative stuff they're exposed to. But at the same time, whenever a platform tries to take this approach and like force a limit, it only helps like a very few amount of people while not like most of the other users. Therefore, if that was the actual problem they wanted to solve, the best possible solution they could do is just do nothing and just give the people the freedom to quit whenever they want. Because I can't think of a single time where WhatsApp has forced people to not use their site and they've actually liked it. However, Elon himself saying like this is meant to like get people to stop using social media so much is just a joke, because the actual reason behind this limit is to like combat like data scrapping. Data scrapping is when people send bots to websites to collect information like marketing prices or products or like keep track of competition. But that's only the good way that it's used, because most of the time it's used for like malicious purposes, because they can actually get your private information like contact details, which is the most common way that they get people's emails so they can send like spam or like hijack accounts or commit like online fraud. So on one side, this limit is meant to like prevent bots from like breaching people's security, which is why new accounts can see like the lowest amount of tweets per day. I also want to bring the fact of how like data scrapping can really take a huge effect on servers because of like how many bots are going in collecting data. which can also like slow down the site. So alongside like security reasons, it's also meant to like help maintain the site so people don't like experience many problems. But personally, I wanted to find reasons on how this change could be beneficial, or like what potentially could have motivated it. And I remember reading one tweet that gave a pretty good explanation on why this isn't meant to make it more annoying to use, but rather like help manage a problem on the platform. And the tweet was made by someone who does architect IT cloud solutions as a job, so they do actually have some proper knowledge on the topic. And they gave one example of how like countries use like data scraping to find like the personal information of accounts so they can punish them for what they tweeted on the platform. They then explained how a limit being implemented could have been a sign of like a huge data scraping event that could have really been like massive on the servers, to the point that it could be like an attack on the site. And managing the servers from this huge event could have been so expensive it could have actually hurt Twitter's ability to make money in the future, which meant that the event was possibly motivated to put Twitter out of business simply because of like how much it would cost to manage the servers. And this is evident in the fact that Elon said it was temporary, because people at Twitter just scrambled to find a solution to prevent the problem from getting worse, so they don't really have time to find like a perfect permanent method to solve it. That's why you see the limit get increased over time, because they've been able to find like the proper way to like manage the problem without like restricting people's freedom, but they haven't like found a 100% way to prevent like this kind of situation happening again in the future. I imagine this is the reason why Elon made it seem like this rule was meant to like help people stop using social media as much, because he didn't want to admit like there was a huge data scrapping event that was so big it actually caused him to panic. So even though he hasn't admitted it, the tweet I brought up and talked about gave a pretty good like explanation on why this could be like the actual motivation behind the rule. Plus, if it was planned beforehand, you definitely hear rumors about it from other people on Twitter, but just because they came all of a sudden means that it'll more than likely be removed after the problem is fixed. In the beginning, I was like most people, well, I believe like this choice was purely born to like damage the platform. But like after I read the tweet explaining why this could have been implemented, it definitely made me feel bad for Elon, seeing how many people are just hating on him. With the original tweet where Elon announced the change having more quote tweets and likes, which is usually a sign like more people are talking about it in a negative way than people agreeing with it. However, at the moment, I only see this is going to last like a short amount of time and then get removed, and then people just forget about it after a while. So it'll probably just have like such a small impact on people that it won't even matter. I will say my timeline is full of jokes about the rate limit, or people saying like how this is the collapse of Twitter, which is just annoying to see, because I believe like after a while this like limit is gonna be removed and people just forget about it. But that's all I really have to say. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.